What's going on, traders? In our last video, we talked about the possibility of a dead cat bounce happening today, and that's exactly what we ended up getting. And so the question is, are we going to continue to see more upside, or are we going to see a rejection back towards the downside? So now, before we get into that, first I want to say that Discord link is in the description below. If you want access to our plays, our alerts, you want to get access to news on the regular, you want to see what institutions are doing, whether they're in calls, whether they're in puts, you want to laugh, you want to have a good time, you want to see technical analysis, you just want to be part of a community. Discord link will be in the description below. Today we jumped into Tesla for 60 strike calls. We jumped in at 7.20, ended up trimming some profit here at around 8.20, ended up holding some runners. I'm continuing to hold a few more runners. I have 3 contracts left right now. Those contracts are at around 1K altogether. So right here is what we're looking at. So right now at around 10.7, 10.8, somewhere around that range when it comes to Tesla. Nothing too crazy. So if you want plays like this, Discord link will be in the description below. We'd love to have you a part of our community. Now, when we're looking at Tesla, right? Interesting thing here is that Tesla has formed a double bottom. The only issue here when it comes to Tesla and this double bottom is that this double bottom is forming on an uptrend. What I mean by that is when you have bullish patterns, you typically want to see them form on a downtrend. Now, that's not to say that this can't play out. It just simply means that this is less likely to play out. Now, what we do know is heading into tomorrow, we do get the announcement on whether shareholders are voting on Elon Musk getting the $1 trillion package deal or not. And supposedly that vote ends tonight, 12 Eastern time. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong there. That's just the last bit of information I got. We know Tesla likes to postpone and change times all the time, so feel free to correct me there. But ultimately, I do believe that this deal is going to go through. There's no way for me to know that for sure, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But I do believe that this deal is going to go through. Now, again, the issue here is that this double top or double bottom, I should say, is forming on an uptrend. This doesn't mean it's not going to play out. It just means it's less likely to play out. If it was forming on a downtrend, then I would be more confident. And although I do believe that this package is going to go through, and I do believe Tesla is going to see more upside, there's a few things that we need to discuss on what happens when Tesla does see this upside. So first things first, we're going to look at cheddar flow, right? So there's a lot of calls coming in on cheddar flow. You got 490 strike calls coming in for November 14th. You got a lot of 500 strike calls, 560 strike calls coming in for December 19th. You have 500 strike calls once again for November 14th. And you scroll down and feel free to screenshot, do what you got to do, but you're seeing a lot of calls coming in. And it's been like this for the past 2 weeks or so. And I do believe that Tesla can head as high at minimum 490. Highest I'm looking at is around 530 if this package does go through. Now, one thing we know about Tesla, or at least I've noticed about Tesla, is that most of its events are buy the rumor, sell the news. So I wouldn't be surprised that Tesla does spike towards the upside, but immediately after the announcement, or maybe the next day after the announcement, I should say, we'll probably see a sell-off back towards the downside. So again, I'm looking at 490. Highest I'm looking at is 530. So somewhere around that range when it comes to Tesla pumping towards the upside. But what I will say is if you see green, take green. All right. And I'm not guaranteeing that Tesla's going to pump, right? Because it's very possible that this vote doesn't go through, or maybe they postpone this whole announcement thing, right? Well, if that does happen, then obviously you're going to get a negative reaction. And one thing we talked about in past videos is this level down here in the 360s. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen all in one day, but I do imagine that fear is going to strike within Tesla, and you're going to see a pretty serious reaction. And I do believe that that's going to be the start of the journey towards this key level down here. I don't believe that this vote or this deal is going to be the catalyst that keeps Tesla sustainable above 500. I do believe that it's going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news, and you're possibly going to see investors and shareholders pretty much take profit after the whole announcement is done. That's my thoughts on Tesla. Again, a lot of bullish flow coming in, so definitely pay attention to that, and definitely pay attention to the times on when this announcement is going to happen. Overall, in conclusion, when it comes to Tesla, I do believe that the deal is going to go through, and I do believe we're going to see more upside. 440 was your key level. Once Tesla hit 440, that was your cue to jump into calls. We jumped into calls a little bit late at around 450, and then we ended up taking profit, or ended up trimming profit ultimately at around 459 when it comes to Tesla. Again, I do believe we're going to see more upside. And so next I want to talk about Bitcoin here. So in our last video, we talked about how Bitcoin can bounce off the bottom of this falling wedge, and that's exactly what ended up happening, right? We saw Bitcoin. Let's actually move this real quick. So we saw Bitcoin pretty much reject the 97K or got pretty close to 97K, around 98K, and then bounce back towards the upside. So the question is Bitcoin going to continue towards the upside? And I do believe that's going to be the case. However, I don't think it's going to be a straightaway shot. I do think it's very possible that we see a lower high here. So you see we have a high here, lower high here, and another lower high here. So what we want to see in order to be really bullish on Bitcoin is a break and hold above 107K. After that, you're looking at 109.5, 109.3, somewhere around that range. And in order for us to really break out of this falling wedge pattern, we want to see Bitcoin reclaim 113K, 115K psych level, and 116K. And in that case, if that does happen, let's say we do get a break and retest out of this falling wedge pattern, right? If that's the case, then we're going to head towards the 130Ks. Now, if you're wondering where I'm getting 130K from, all you do is measure the open and close of the pattern that you're looking at, whether it's a falling wedge, rising wedge, bull flag, whatever the case may be. Well, bull flag is different, but you guys get the idea. And you bring that measurement to the potential breaking point of that pattern. So for now, we're talking about somewhere around 130K, 135K when it comes to Bitcoin. Now, when I say I don't think we're going to see a straightaway shot towards the upside and we could potentially see a lower high, I do believe that's going to be the case. I do believe that the market is setting up for another potential drop before we see a continuation towards the upside, or I should say a bounce back towards the upside. So right now I'm looking at Bitcoin simply retesting the 21 MA for now at around between 107K, 109K before rejecting back towards the downside, possibly forming some type of bullish pattern down here, so maybe a double bottom, and then we head back towards the upside. That's what I'm looking at when it comes to Bitcoin. Pretty bullish on Bitcoin for the long term. I still believe 150K is around the corner. It's just a matter of being patient, and Bitcoin is definitely testing our patience when it comes to that. Overall, I'm not big on crypto or anything like that. All I'm in is Ethereum right now, so nothing too crazy. I even alerted to Discord members to jump into some Ethereum at around, I want to say 3,200, and yeah, so far we're looking pretty good when it comes to Ethereum. Feel free to check that out yourself. So next, I want to go over the triple Qs, right? So in the Discord, I've pretty much let Discord members know pretty much all day, right, that it's very much possible. So if it's very much possible that triple Qs can head towards 627. So Qs above a key level here. Watch for a potential move towards 627. Q still looks good for 627, and we saw exactly that happen, right? And then Nvidia rejects 202, and this is another thing I was talking about earlier. Well, Nvidia 202, 203 range will be tough, and a solid rejection here can drag things down, and we saw exactly that happen. So we're going to go over triple Qs first, and then we're going to go over Nvidia. So when it comes to the triple Qs, right, I said this earlier in the Discord that we could see a move towards 627. Crazy enough, that's exactly what happened. Now, does this mean we're going to continue to dump towards the downside? I don't think that's going to be the case, at least for now. There's no clear sign of that. What we are looking at is a potential inverse head and shoulders pattern here, where you have a shoulder here, and a head here, and it's looking pretty clean. Now, it's not confirmed yet until you break the neckline, and the neckline is very clean at around 627. If we can manage to break this neckline, then obviously we're going to fill this gap here at around 631, 630 range, and then from there, obviously we'll probably more than likely head towards previous highs, if not all-time highs. So for now, what you want to see when it comes to the triple Qs is a hold above 621. If you can't hold 621, then you're looking at a move towards 619.6, 617.4, 615 is your major level. We talked about in the last video where the 21 MA is around this range, and the triple Qs can head as low as 610. We got 612 after hours or pre-market, whatever you want to call it. Nothing too crazy there. We ended up reclaiming 615, and then from there we just pumped towards the upside. So for now, as long as we hold above 621 when it comes to the triple Qs, I would say we're pretty safe. But ultimately, your key level of all levels, the final boss is 615. As long as we stay above 615, all-time highs is still on the table. All right, so that's what we're looking at for the triple Qs. Nothing too crazy there. And next, we're going to look at the SPY. So when it comes to the SPY, I would argue that the SPY is looking a little bit better than the triple Qs. However, the SPY did fill this gap here at 681, and triple Qs has yet to fill its gap. So I do believe at some point in time, triple Qs is going to make an attempt on that gap fill back towards the upside. because SPY pretty much filled this gap, right? So right now, as long as SPY stays above 675, and we talked about this in the Discord, as long as SPY stays above 675, there is potential for a bounce back towards the upside. Bears are very present here in this bearish engulfing candle. However, there's a lot more bulls in this area than bears. So we want to see bears really take control here if we're looking to be bearish. But for now, 675 is your key level. You saw us pretty much get below the 21 in May and ended up reclaiming it. So that just tells me that bulls are very strong and very present in this area here. So it's going to take some pretty bad news for us to really break down here. Worst case scenario, we just see a retest of 672, 670, possibly form some type of double bottom. So you'll have a bottom here, another bottom here. And then your neckline will be here at around 681. And then from there, you're pretty much breaking back towards the 690s. If we go to the daily time frame, there's a lot of space and opportunity up here. However, there are a lot of bears in this area, but I do believe that a retest above this range at around 690 is very much possible. So that's what I'm looking at when it comes to the SPY. I do believe that we do have one more opportunity to see all-time highs all over again before potentially rejecting back towards the downside. And so last but not least, I want to talk about Nvidia. So when it comes to Nvidia, again, I talked about this in the Discord where Nvidia is going to have a hard time getting above or holding above 202. So we saw Nvidia pretty much break out of this range here. You have a rejection here, rejection here, rejection here, and we saw Nvidia pump all the way towards 202. Ended up rejecting back towards the downside. And crazy enough, this is exactly when triple Qs hit 627. So they pretty much did this simultaneously. And right now we're seeing Nvidia kind of hold above this 195 level. Now, me personally, I do believe that Nvidia is going to see more downside. And the reason why I say that, right, is that up here, you have a double top. You have a top here, and then you have another top here, right? And all you did today was retest the neckline of this double top at around 202. So you pump back towards the upside, you hit that 202 level, and then you reject it back towards the downside. And the projected measured move of this double top, crazy enough, is at the 190 level. And Nvidia has yet to retest the 21 MA. We talked about this multiple times that at some point in time, if you get too far away from the 21 MA, at some point in time, you're going to retest that 21 MA. So I do imagine that at minimum, Nvidia just simply retests 192. And at lowest, we're looking at a retest of around between 190 and 187, which we'll see this gap deal all the way down here. There's actually two gaps here. So it's going to be very interesting to see. Pretty much you have an island reversal here. So interesting enough, very much possible we fill that gap as well. But for now, I'm looking at 190. Can we head to 187? Very much possible, but that's what I'm looking at. So double top here on a 4-hour time frame. Feel free to screenshot it, copy it, do what you got to do. Neckline is clear as day at around 202. Perfect rejection from there, and we pretty much saw Nvidia drag the market down with it. Can Nvidia head back towards the upside is the question. It's tough to say because I'm not really seeing it, especially when you broke back below this trend. So if we zoom out here, you have a rejection here, multiple rejections here, rejection here, and you broke back below this trend. So it's not looking good for Nvidia, especially when you broke back below 200. Not looking good at all. So I imagine if Nvidia continues to dump towards the downside, you can head as low as the 180s, if not much lower. But we'll talk about that if and only if we get there. So some bullish signs across the market, some bearish signs across the market. I would just be cautious heading into tomorrow. Don't be overly bullish. The only thing I will say is that Tesla has the potential to really pump towards the upside due to this news, but it could be a buy the rumor, sell the news, and that's what I'm really leaning towards. So you guys let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think this package deal is going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news? Do you think it's even going to go through? Maybe I'm wrong. That's very much possible. There's no way for me to know for sure if this is going to go through or not. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And until the next video, traders, have a good one.